Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of all ages, welcome to the YakPom podcast with your co-hosts, Yakman and Gohpom. Testing, 1, 2. Welcome to the YakPom podcast, everybody. Hope your Saturday's going fantastic.
Finding getting like sugar candy.
I am Mr. Yakman. With me is my brother,
Gohpom.
and we have our special guest, Vamppire, with us today. How you guys doing?
Fantastic.
Awesome. Sorry, just getting my monitor set up over here. I like to watch the streams off my tablet. Takes a little bit of the workload off my PC, but I can still make sure we're not doing anything too goofy here with our broadcast.
Yeah, we've had that happen before in the past.
Once or twice.
Yeah. It's a work in progress.
It is. It really is a learning process.
Always improving.
I feel like every week I'm adding something new or doing something a little different.
I mean, a day that goes by where you don't learn something is a day wasted. So
yeah, I mean, it really is.
That.
It really
all
is.
the knowledge. Truthfully, though,
I remember as a kid, like I'd get so bored in school, and I was like, man, I can't wait to get older and be done learning.
Yeah.
And now I'm like,
once you graduate, it's all done, right? No, that's
right.
Getting started. Like I swear, the starter kit schools give you don't give you enough information you need. But
no,
that's my feeling.
The older you get, the more you realize the manual. You're just in the first few chapters of the manual of life. You're not even started yet. Oh my goodness. So Vamppire, why don't you kick off by just kind of telling us a little bit about yourself, who you are, and
I'll let you to streaming, honestly.
Yeah, what got you here?
So my name is Vamppire. Most people call me Vampy. I'm a streamer here on Twitch. Or I do some YouTube stuff that I'm starting to get into. I'm a Warframe content creator as well as an Outriders ambassador. And I've been streaming just over a year, roughly, maybe a year and 6 months. So still growing, still pursuing Twitch partner eventually. Kind of had to take a sidetrack hiatus because of some work situations and living situations. So we'll get back on track that eventually. So streaming's been kind of up and down the last month and a half or so, but community is always understanding and welcoming. So we're back at it. So
that's awesome. How did you get started then? You said you're an Outriders ambassador, and you're a Warframe. You said content creator or partner?
Correct. Yeah.
How did you get into those things? How did you?
So, a couple years ago, all my friends were making the transition over to PC, and I used to be a PC gamer. Years and years ago, playing Counter-Strike 1.6 is like all I played. And one of my moderators and good friends of mine was like, "You should check out Warframe. It's free to play." So I was like, "Yeah, I'll check it out." And I just kind of fell in love with the game. And then, be honest, I used to think Twitch was stupid. I was like,
we've all been there.
Yeah, I was like, who the hell's gonna pay someone to play video games? That just doesn't make any sense.
Same. I was the same.
And he's like, no, I've been watching someone's, or I think it was Clark or No Sympathy was one of them, on Twitch, and learning a bunch of stuff about the game from him because he was really good at new player development and that kind of stuff, getting people into the game and teaching them how to do things. So I started watching them, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. People are pretty chill here. And then I kind of moved on to, I got caught on to some other streamers like Acolyte Senpai, who's also another Warframe content creator, and just kind of found myself hanging out there pretty much every day. When I'd get home from work and whatever, and we played Warframe with them. Next thing you know, I'm a moderator in his channel. And then a year or so goes by, and I'm like, I could probably do this. I could probably stream, right? So I just started off kind of goofing off, and just pretty much my friends would be there watching me, and then slowly but surely I'd start getting a follow here and there. And I was watching from the 70s. I don't know if you guys know who he is. Another Warframe content creator, super cool guy, older guy, and he raided a smaller streamer named Charlazard, who only at the time had like 400 some followers. And I started hanging out there too and just became really good friends with her. And next thing you know, she started helping me and I hit Twitch affiliate. She helped me get my affiliate. There's no doubt about
That's
it because she
awesome.
wanted to co-stream one day. I was just like, sure, why not? It's nothing major. And then it just kind of took off. And next thing you know, like she became a Warframe content creator in the first wave when they redid the program. And then I was slowly creeping up there, and then they changed it to where you only needed 1,000 followers to apply instead of the 2,500, which is what it used to be. And I was just like, oh gosh, I can do this. And so like I just kept on grinding away at it, and next thing you know, I hit 1,000. I applied. The third wave, I think it was the third wave that came out of content creators. I made the list and just been continuously growing. Now I'm closing in on 2,600 followers. My average views are at least around 30, if not more, and it's just been a wild ride. And I can't thank the Warframe community more than enough because honestly, that's who's gotten me to where I'm at today.
Man, that's sweet. I like that you ended up, you had really no interest in it, and then slowly but surely, as you built relationships with people and got into modding, that twinkle formed in your eye, and you decided to go for it. That's really awesome, man.
And it's not even just like just streaming in general. It's the relationships and the friendships I've built over the last couple of years, that have really been like a staple in my life. Like I talk to them more than people I graduated high school with, that I've been friends with for 20 years. So it's like these people have become close friends. We all have these same common interests. There's just not like a few things that we have in common, and that's why we were friends, growing up. We have a lot of things in common, like, video games, outside activities, Yeah, exactly. So it's almost become like a way of life almost, believe it or not.
No,
Yeah,
I can believe that. It's crazy how life circumstances change, and it's like you can always connect online, you can always meet new people, and I swear video games kind of opens up that door for that opportunity where if you don't like a certain game, you're obviously not going to play it, but if you absolutely love a game, you're going to frequently be playing it, and you're going to make those connections, and it sounds like you found the right people, and that community's just
Right.
been helping you push and grow, and that's fantastic.
I keep hearing a lot of good things about the Warframe community, and I'm tempted to check out Warframe just for that alone. I know Rebel's been trying to talk me into trying it for a long time because he enjoys it. And I kind of have this generic answer because everyone's always like, play this, play that. And I'm like, I've got so many titles, I can't choose already. But the things I hear about the Warframe community, it just seems so tight knit. And that's really awesome that you've been able to get in there and have a spot, amongst so many other great creators.
Yeah, it's very, very humbling.
Yeah, it's wild. I that was one of the things I always liked about it because, like you said, like you didn't have an interest in being a Twitch streamer. You didn't really, really give it to a second thought. And I was kind of the same. It was, Gohpom and I here. We grew up on in the dairy farm life, the rural Wisconsin mentality of you work.
Okay, if we had it, we probably would have been a different life. But oh man, we were a mile short of high speed internet, so for us it was like going to the public library and whatever was limited on there in educational programs. Whereas now that we're older with adult money, sky's the limit.
Adult toys,
Yes.
It's like that line from Step Brothers, and wouldn't it have been cool if we had this as kids? Even better, we've got it now when we're 40. Oh man.
But I love part of your story is too that you instead of just going around, I should say this, you were in other communities, checking them out consistently, like every day. You said like you kept coming back because it was something you enjoyed. There was no like hidden prerogative or from what it sounds like to me of like, oh, I want to be a streamer. I'm going to learn and master everything from them, which I mean, you can do. You can get inspired, of course, but
Sure.
it was never about how can I use this for gain as opposed to I want to be a part of this. And then
Yeah.
it just so happened everything aligned and you've been popping off.
Yeah, it's been a one hell of an experience. Like I wouldn't trade anything for the world. So
For
been
sure.
a very awesome time so far.
So, I guess let's start with what kind of games do you play? Obviously, you're doing some great things with Warframe. I've noticed you play a little bit of Warzone. What's kind of your kind of an FPS guy? Do you all over the
Variety
place?
streamer.
How do you go about gaming?
So when it comes to streaming, I kind of stick with my niche. I stick with Warframe. I will stream Warzone once in a blue moon. I play Tarkov. I used to stream Tarkov once a week for a while. But like with my internet situation the way it is, because believe it or not, my PC is actually running on a Wi-Fi connection at the moment.
Ooh, that's tough to Tarkov
on. Exactly. So if I'm playing off stream, it's not too bad. But once I'm streaming and that bit rate starts taking into play, it causes problems. So I've kind of shied away from streaming Tarkov for the time being. But and then offline, I play a lot of like survival type games. Like I'll play Valheim. We'll play Phasmophobia. All types of weird stuff. You know, like I'm willing to try almost anything once. But I kind of stick with my niches of Warframe on stream, and then off stream I'll play a bunch of other stuff and have fun. It's like my wind down games where I don't want to take the time to like teach anyone or explain to anyone, and just kind of like veg out and not have a care in the world.
Yep. You got to have that balance. I feel like that's something I think Gohpom and I were learning within our first year, because we were doing a lot content wise, with Fortnite, and it started out with us. It was kind of a family game, like okay, the bros, we all got our Xboxes now, and this is a free game we can all connect with. So it started there, and then we started incorporating the streaming, and we were doing really well over on Mixer with it. But then it turned into Fortnite it went from being a joy to more of a chore, if that makes sense. It was okay, we have to do this, this day of the week, and we have to try to be good so people will like us. And like it became this whole thing. And like for me, I had to take quite an extended break from gaming it, and now I'm slowly incorporating it a little bit back into content and stuff. But I feel like it's tough to find that balance at first sometimes, because you'll grind a game on stream and then you want to play something you enjoy, but all of a sudden you don't want to play that game anymore in your free time. So
right.
Have you ever experienced like game burnout in your experience? Or because it sounds like you said like with Warframe, and then these are my wind down games off a stream, and I feel like you've kind of figured that out for yourself.
Oh yeah, I started playing Warframe in November of 2018. Okay. And I have over almost 5,000 hours invested into the game.
Nice.
So it's a big chunk of time.
That's a lot.
Yeah, huge investment.
So like as I've gotten towards the end where I've maxed out just about everything in the game and whatnot, I've gone through many periods of burnout where I just don't want to play it. So honestly, like as crappy as like my current situation is, like because where I'm living is temporary for only like a couple months, maybe only a month more, hopefully. It's actually been kind of a blessing at the same time too, because I've had time to focus on other things, and not have to worry about getting that burnout from games as much. In fact, I was actually playing with Pinky on his stream. We were playing Warframe, and honestly, it didn't bother me at all. And there was times where I didn't even want to launch the game unless I was streaming.
Yeah, I think it's interesting when you get that opportunity to like step away from streaming, not because you
Mhm.
want to, but because you have to. And then you can kind of see everything from some new eyes. And like, I
Mhm.
think you get a deeper appreciation and a better understanding, like you said.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
what advice would you give to streamers who may not, or who may be experiencing those symptoms, but they're not quite sure what to do? Especially like, as you said, you've had to kind of pull away and see
Mhm.
that. And
You
now
know,
that you know that.
it's okay to take breaks. No one's gonna fault you. You might get the people like, "Oh, you're not playing this," or whatever. In the end of the day, it's the people that are in your stream that are there for you is really what matters, and not so much the game that you're playing. So that's one thing that I've learned from very many streamers that I've looked up to in my career.
I think I think that's great advice.
Put on a
Recently,
t-shirt
yeah, exactly. Make bumper
for
stickers,
real.
the whole nine. I've come across some streamers who are smaller, you know, like our size, and they go, I have to stream this game. I hate this game right now. I don't like the state this game is in, but I have to stream this game or no one will follow me. No one will watch. And I feel like there's truth to that and there's misconception of that. Because if you look at just the numbers, if that's all you care about, yeah, sometimes you'll take a hit jumping around from game to game. But I don't know. I feel like if you're doing variety gaming and you're there to connect with people and you make those connections, they're going to be there regardless. You know, I've had to take so many breaks, it's been ridiculous, just from IRL stuff, but there's always that core group of people that always come back. I'm always
Mhm.
shocked when I have to take a break and I come back a few weeks or a month later because it's the same people who have always been there
Mhm.
showing up again, you know, and
Right.
it's incredible. And I feel like some streamers just put too much weight on it, or I don't know. I feel like the perspective needs to change a little bit.
Yeah.
I always want to say, you know, check out everybody on my team, but I'm big on trying not to self promote. You know, if someone
Mhm.
asks me, I'll talk about it, but I don't like being the type that goes in a stream and be like, "Oh, we're both streamers. We should talk about my channel on yours." Like,
Right.
you know.
Don't be that guy.
But yes,
Yeah.
don't be that guy. But
Don't speak unless spoken to.
And I think that's one of the things that I've learned, in my career and being a moderator for other streamers and other
Yeah.
partners that are on Twitch and other content creators, that unspoken etiquette, when you have a newer person to streaming and, they just want to be recognized for what they do. Well, that comes in time. And the way you go about it is going to be how you look and present yourself to others. So I can't even count on, both hands how many times, someone's come into my stream and be like, and said something like that. And me being the type of person that I don't go and like delete their comment right away or whatever. I just kind of throw them on the spot and be like, why? Why should I come to you? What's
Yeah.
your purpose? How would you feel if I just came into your stream and started like promoting myself? Because clearly I'm a bigger streamer than you are, but that
Yeah.
doesn't mean that I'm better than you.
We're all human.
you know so even with like the last time I was rated by Warframe, because as us as content creators, we get rated after they have their own streams. We have 15, 17, sometimes upwards of 30,000 people getting dropped on us in a raid, and it can
that's
be a little bit
crazy.
overwhelming. And a
Internet
lot of
crashes and you have issues.
and that actually happened to me the last time where it just crashed and I lost 75 to 80% of them. And
Yep.
and
Yep.
don't get me wrong, a lot of those people leave right away anyways, so it's
Oh
not a
yeah.
big deal. Um, but you'll usually get a couple of extra 100 follows, sometimes more, depending. Um, but there was a guy saying that he was live right now streaming Warframe, and the chat's going a million miles an hour, and like I can
Yeah.
see it. So like I just
Hmm.
banned him like instantly because like there's a time and a place, and
Yeah.
you think they're rating
Absolutely.
someone that's partnered with them, you think people are going to leave that stream to go watch
Yeah.
you when, they're giving stuff away, that's sponsored by the company and everything else. And, it's a little common sense right there, like,
Yeah. I think it's definitely, as you said, it's all about representation. There's always a time and a place for
mhm,
everything. And it sounds like whenever you come into like a new streamer's channel that you want to like connect with, what would you say would be like maybe like the top few things that you do? Because as you said, you've modded for partners, you're a Warframe content creator. Obviously, you carry yourself well, or the program wouldn't want you.
mhm,
There are some content creators that get shut down or applications are denied
right.
because even though they have big numbers, they don't represent themselves well. Clearly,
Mhm.
what you're doing is good. What would you recommend to newer streamers starting out that they could do to better connect with content
Um,
creators and communities to look up to?
so like one piece of advice that I always give to people, it's not about what you know always, it's about who you know. And being able to network within the community goes a lot farther than trying to self-promote yourself.
Big
So
time.
the
Can you say that
connection,
just one more time?
let
I think that's such a crucial point.
yeah,
it
Seriously.
let it soak in at home.
yeah, networking. So it's not about what you know, it's who you know. And being able to network with people will get you farther starting off than trying to just hit that go live button with 0 people and trying to self promote in other people's channels. So, like, one thing for me, I love helping smaller streamers. It's something that I've prided on. Same thing with Shar, who's like one of my best friends. I can't even tell you how many people, like smaller streamers, that we found because we'll both go through the directory at night and we'll see who's streaming. And sometimes they recognize us, most times they don't. So we'll lurk in their streams, we'll talk in their streams. We don't have no fancy tags in front of our names, so they have no idea. Unless they play the game with us and they recognize, the content creator tag or something, which sometimes or a lot of times they don't. They don't even realize it, you know,
Yeah.
on your name in the game. And we'll just see how they present themselves and talk to their chat and we'll drop them a follow and then, we'll hold that card in our pocket. And then if we see them live, we're just going to drop our community on them and they're going to poop their pants, because they're not going to know what hit them and
Yeah.
not even know. So I've done that quite a few times. I actually have a couple of them that I've been looking at recently. So it goes a long way. And like learning what I've learned from the people that I've modded for and how they present themselves to their audience really plays into a factor. And just the connections I've made, like when I started streaming, like from the 70s, Acolyte Senpai, like they would drop raids on me once they found out I started streaming. And because they knew I started streaming is because after my stream, whether it's 2 people, 3 people, however many you have in your audience, just don't end stream. That's the worst thing you can do is just hit thanks
Constantly
for
be
watching,
networking.
end. Raid someone. Send your 2 people, send your 3 people. I love it when those people come to me and you share your community with me. I don't care if you raid with just yourself. It just shows me you're still trying to make an initiative and trying to make those connections. So by raiding people, you're going to instantly start making connections. And if you raid them, just don't raid them and leave. Talk in their chat. If they ask you questions, answer them. And keep coming back. And then maybe raid them again a couple days later or a week later or whatever. Continuously keep on doing that. Like one thing that I've always thought about is when I started off, I always rated someone that had a decent amount of viewers in their chat. I never rated someone my own size. And the reason that is because the connection you're going to make with that streamer is going to pay off more in the long run than, you might get, an extra follow from someone, you raid a small person. You raid those bigger streamers, in the end, they're going to end up probably raiding you at some point and bring all those people to your chat. And what, you might think it might be 1 or 2 extra follows ends up being 10 follows, 15 follows, and it keeps on going. And it's one thing to be a smaller streamer, and it's okay to raid those smaller groups. You know, if you're friends with people and want to do all that other thing, that's fine. But also remember that's gonna also could deter your growth as well. If you want to make it in this business, you got to make the connections and do the networking. It's 75% of the job.
I
It
think
really
that
is.
right
It
there,
really is.
like just breaking that down, I think as you said, it's not about self-promoting, it's constantly about networking. And it's in the sense of you as the streamer are taking that initiative to network.
Right.
You're not waiting around on your thumbs like I'm doing
Mhm.
the thing. Everyone's doing the thing. You need to do
Yeah.
your thing and bring your community into other
Mhm.
streamers. And I think that's really important as you said is constantly like yes obviously support and network with your groups, but if you want to consistently grow and you want to make something more out of it, you've got to be
Right.
looking at those other content creators who have and share your community with them.
Right. And you know, a lot
Absolutely.
of misconception that people get is like, you know, I stream, I should make it big, blah 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 blah. Well, it's
If
just
only.
it just doesn't end with streaming.
No.
You know, my when I honestly, I work a full-time job, and half of my full-time job, I'm thinking of ideas for streaming
Yep.
and other things. Not only that, I have a Discord that I need to run. I have social media, you know, Twitter, Instagram, all types of stuff, giveaway ideas, charity ideas. You know, there's so many things, artwork ideas, merch. It just doesn't stop, you know, start and stop with streaming. There's so many other entities that end up coming into play, and it really is. It's another full-time job for me. It's a nonstop
It
process.
it
It's an
really is.
enjoyable one.
It's like a project that you should never truly feel finished doing
Sure.
until you decide you want to be done.
Like
Mhm.
Rubik's Cube almost.
You know, and
Right.
that's something I'm glad I kind of figured that out. I feel like I figured that out early on with the whole networking thing.
Oh,
Gohpom had
you
to
were
really
always
twist my arm.
networking.
He had to twist my arm to even get me interested
I
in
dragged him kicking and
streaming.
screaming. He talked
Like
shit all
I
about Twitch.
did
We
my
both
first
did
my
until
first half
I
dozen
got on it.
times on Twitch was just to be a little trolly jackwagon,
Mhm.
just to be a little jerk and be like, you're not doing nothing. Like, what are you doing? Like, it was that farm mentality of if you're not breaking your back,
Sure.
you're not earning a living kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it was a really ignorant perspective. And I feel like a lot of people look at streaming and that it's you know, maybe it's just a slight ego check that's needed where you know, a little bit of education. It's people come into it ignorant thinking, oh, you know, I just play a video game where and I make it so people can watch, that's it. And that's
Mhm.
there's so much more to it if you
Oh,
want to
sure.
get into it
Community.
and be serious with it. Like you say, there's managing the discords and the social networks, and there's planning ideas for streams and content, and there's learning all these different programs, and there's a lot to it. And pardon me, it's not that most people can't do it. It's just I think people come in and it's easy to be on the outside and just kind of simplify it to I'm
Mhm.
just turning on the game, I'm just turning on a camera. It's so
Right.
easy. It's really not. You
Yeah.
know?
It can be pretty stressful at times too.
It's
Oh,
not for the faint
for
of heart,
sure,
which I
for
mean
sure.
leads me to my next question. And I know I should have prefaced with this that I was gonna ask you this question, but I mean I everybody I know is dying to know where did you come up with the name Vamppire? Like you
Yes.
don't play any I don't think I've ever seen you be playing like any Dracula influenced games or
Check
anything. So
check
like
your necks.
where did the name
I've,
come from?
I haven't been bitten
If you
yet.
Right. So, you know, I've been asked this a couple times, and believe it or not, it has nothing to do with me liking vampires.
Ooh.
Nothing to do with it. The reason being is so when I graduated high school, I started working full time. I didn't go to college right away, and I went into like the trades, and actually ended up working
Mm.
in a machine shop because that's what my dad did for a living. And so I was a machine operator for about 7 or 8 years. And at the time, I worked a continuous shift. So I worked from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. And here in Wisconsin, in the winter, it gets dark at 4 p.m.
Yep, it does.
Very early.
And so there would be 3 months at a time where I never saw the sun because I'd go to bed as soon as I got home and I'd wake up and it'd
Dang.
already be dark outside.
That wanes on you.
So when I started playing online, the very first game that I played online was on PS2, and it was SOCOM Navy SEALs. And
Nice.
I love that game. You know, if you've ever played it, it's a third-person shooter. It's pretty much like I don't even know what I would compare it to in today's age. Maybe kind of like not so much like Tarkov. It's like Call of Duty, pretty much, but third person. And it was like one of the first games where you could play multiplayer online because you had to have that little frickin'
Oh my
connector in the
gosh,
back
the
of your
adapter.
PlayStation
Yep.
2. And so I used to run an Ethernet cord because I was 18, so I was still living at home at the time. Used to run an Ethernet cord down the hall into the office area and plug it into the back of the modem and play all frickin' night. So I needed to come up with a name, and I'm really weird. I don't like numbers in my name, like numbers or symbols. Like I wanted a name that like it was just a regular name. So and I just stuck with it. So I came up with the name Vamppire with 2 P's. I was like, well, I don't see the sun. I'm pretty much living like a vampire.
Right.
And I've just stuck with it ever since. And so what's funny is like I
That's
actually
awesome.
hold the name Vampire without the underscore because for whatever I actually had the name on Twitch.
Oh
Um
dang.
and like I think I lost it and then it got re-rolled and someone else took it. So
Mm.
I don't know if they're even active anymore. I could
Maybe you
probably
could take
try
it
and see if I can
back.
get it.
Suck your blood.
I try and get Vampy because that's what everyone calls me these days.
Oh my
But
gosh.
someone's taken it. And I've actually reached out to that person and messaged them a couple times, and I have never gotten a response. I think it's a dormant account. Will I ever get it? I don't know. But I own the name Vampire with 2 P's on PlayStation Network. I own it on the Xbox Network. I own it on Steam. So it just kind of sticks. If wherever I go, that's my name.
That's
great.
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad you brought up Wisconsin. I noticed the Packer memorabilia back there. So I'm also a cheesehead. So
For those of you listening, there's a video on YouTube if you want to watch the live version. He's surrounded by the beautiful Green Bay Packers.
yes,
Go Packers.
Reggie White and some Favre memorabilia. Love it. Takes me back.
Yeah, there's some Badger memorabilia on the other wall, but
Very nice. Very nice.
yeah, I do live in the cheese state.
Yes, it does get cold, and it does. It's crazy that you mentioned
I can
that.
relate to that.
How
Like,
dark it.
like, oh man.
It really does get dark in the winter.
Yeah, it does.
Early. It's like 4 p.m. Like the world shuts down.
Or game it up.
Right. So now, because I work a white collar job now, so I went to school after I lost. Yeah, you know, it's.
I feel the
coming
trade is
back.
definitely like a Wisconsin thing.
Yeah, so coming back kind of full circle because I didn't know what I wanted to do and what I do now for a living. I don't really want to do the rest of my life, but it works for me at the time.
Yeah.
Being so, I worked in like I was saying in a factory in a machine shop for 7 years. Went back to school for business. Afterwards, in the hopes of actually just managing a machine shop.
Nice.
And I landed in a bank because before I started in machining, I actually was a teller at a credit union for a short period of time, for about 7-8 months, because my brother-in-law worked there at the time, and I needed a job right away, and I didn't want to work in the grocery store packing fruit, so I needed a job when I got out of college, and I was just like, well, this bank is hiring, I can go work there and just whatever, and I just stuck with it, and I've been working my way up. I've worked for a couple other banks in the meantime. And believe it or not, the company I work for now is the company I worked for when I was 18 that my brother-in-law got me hired at 20 years later.
Wow.
And I went back to
That's
work there.
awesome.
So I work in their mortgage department at the moment. I've been in the mortgage industry for almost 10 years now. So
It's wild.
yeah.
Not a lot of people out there can say they're back at their first employer. I know I sure couldn't.
Yeah.
I was 16 and I was a bagger at the local grocery store, and I remember this one time the owner and the boss of the place comes around the corner, and I was just a space cadet of a teenage guy, you know, like I didn't want to be there. I wanted to be out in the woods screwing off and, you know, in the country. So he comes around the corner and I'm by this fruit scale and I'm just like bouncing it up and down. And I turn and I look and I make eye contact with him. And I knew, like, I just knew he was giving me this stare of disbelief. And that, you know, now I look back and I'm like, I would have cuffed me on the back of the head for doing that. But yeah, yeah, I don't know. I could probably get a job back there, but I don't even. I live in the city next door over. So
my first employer isn't even in business anymore. I used to work for Kmart.
Oh my gosh,
man!
So
that was my first job.
Kmart still exists in some places. Like I remember I was in North Dakota somewhere.
It's barely holding
like,
on. Yeah.
They were just like, "Would you like to sign up for our rewards program?" And I like did a double take, looked at them, and I was like, "Are you still going to be around in a month?" And I was being genuinely serious, and they got like super offended, like, "You can just say no." Like, they were just super mad. I was like, "But I'm like, you can't fault me because like I'm just traveling for work.
Right.
I'm not. I don't think you'll be back by the time I come back." But
yeah, exactly.
they're one of the last few still hanging on. Like I don't know. It's like the last Blockbuster. I don't know. That needs to be a documentary. The last Kmart. I'd watch it on Netflix. Oh man.
Yeah, I remember there used to be like Little Caesars pizzerias inside Kmart's back in the day.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
It was almost like Rocky Rococo's. You could buy pizza by the slice.
Oh,
nice.
I miss those days.
Right? Yeah, we still got Little Caesars, but they're not in Kmart's.
True.
But yeah, it sounds like to me though, it seems everything I think kind of like goes back to, as you said, like community. It's fostering those connections and relationships where you said, as in common, like you don't. It's not just gaming; it's more than that.
Oh, for sure.
Whereas, like, we were able to meet you via the stream team, and welcome aboard to the Dusty Rebellion.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
My biggest question I always have for streamers is, what's the number one thing that you learned that you wish you knew when you started streaming? Kind of like the big or even if Earth or something in personal life, like you wish you knew that would have been so helpful.
Nothing comes easy. You got to work for everything you earn. And if you think you've earned it, you haven't earned it. Because there's still more to come. It's a never-ending cycle. You know, I mean, you earn something, you have your moment, you learn, you grow, and you move on to the next thing. You know, it's like it's like continuing your education. There's always something you can learn.
So never settle for complacency. Always be moving upward and onward.
Yeah. So when you're down, you have your community to lift you up.
That right there, I think a lot of streamers and even myself, like doing mental health support and advocacy is a big one. Whereas I feel when I first started, I kind of pulled away. I was like, I don't want them to help or support me. Whereas I feel like that for me, that was a very dumb move. Whereas for like when you're down, your community is always there to lift you up. Like it's not. I think it's just reminding yourself you're not a burden. And I think fostering that kind of community is so beneficial in the beginning if you plan ahead that it's about relationships, it's not about numbers.
Right, exactly. And like one thing that I've definitely learned is, you know, growing up and you go through stuff, you know, you have your real friends, you know, that you talk to on a daily basis, you know, they know the backside of your hand, you know, like their own. And you could be going through a situation, you know, and they try and console you, but they've never been through the situation that you have, you know. But that doesn't mean that none out of the 2,500 followers I have, or, you know, a couple hundred people in my Discord haven't gone through a situation like that. And they can be there to lift you up, you know, and tell you their perspective, how they handle it, or, you know, vice versa. Maybe they're going through something that you've gone through. You know, the community as a whole is something that I hold dear to my heart. And if I lost that, I'd go crazy.
Yeah, it's incredible. When I was first looking at streaming, I had no idea the kinds of connections I would make with people. You know, especially with a lot of my mods, a lot of them have become close friends outside of streaming that I talk to, you know, every couple of days or, you know, maybe even once a week, that kind of thing. Thank you, Toxica, for the follow. I appreciate you. Welcome, welcome. Hope you're having a good Saturday. But yeah, it was just, man, the friendships. Like when I'm having a tough time and I got to take a break for a minute or something, got stuff going on. The community, the friendships I've made, people are checking in with me. You know, I'll wake up and I'll get a Discord message or a Facebook or something, and hey, how you doing? Haven't seen you on for a minute. You doing all right? How's the Yak fam? And it's crazy, man. The level of support. If you spend time getting to know people and actually make those friendships and build that community, you know, they'll be there for you.
Right. Yeah. Honestly, I feel like you're just family to me.
Oh man, I know. It's like we're brothers, bro.
we are true blue in real life brothers. A lot of people are like, oh, they just throw it around, but we legitimately are related. So we always like to throw that around a little bit just because.
We have a story about Grandpa's eye, okay? We have a stories. All right.
On the radio. Thank you.
But yeah, it's crazy. And that kind of goes back to some advice I got from my friend's dad. He was the #1 salesman in Wisconsin for a handful of years. And he was getting contracts selling hydraulic fittings to Oshkosh Truck. So he was selling millions and millions of dollars worth of goods. And people would always ask him, what's your big secret? How do you make all these big sales? And he always had the same answer. It was one at a time. You make that personal connection with someone, and then you've got a business built, and then you can add on one by one. You treat every person like a person, you know, not just a client or an account number or a Twitch ID. And you know, it's all about those connections in that community. And once you figure that out, your life will be blessed in so many ways. So many ways.
Absolutely.
I was becoming a real introvert, going through a deep depression. I'd ripped my knee a couple times playing football, chasing my dreams, and getting into streaming. It brought my personality back a little bit. You know, I was going kind of down a dark rabbit hole of just wallowing in my own self-pity. And it was crazy. Once I started making the friendships and looking up to people and focusing on positive things that were involved with streaming, my whole demeanor changed. And I don't know if it saved my life or what, but it's been a huge blessing, man. It's been a huge blessing getting into streaming. So I try to encourage people, and like you say with other small streamers, I try to throw the support around. And man, I feel like we've all been there. You know, you gotta pass it around. And I don't feel like I'm a big streamer by any means. I feel like I'm a little experienced, maybe. You know, I've been through quite a few hurdles with the stuff, but most of that's been technical issues and getting over Windows Game Bar. You're so frustrating sometimes.
Just Windows updates in general.
Yes.
Makes me want to switch to a PlayStation. Seriously.
For sure.
Every time I see a Windows update, I'm like, well, I got a lot of work going on tomorrow, I guess.
Oh man, I pucker up. I really do. Oh, it's been a night. This last year for me with Windows updates has been rough. It's been rough. But I think we got her all figured out. Fingers crossed, knock on wood.
That's what I said with the last one too.
Right? Oh man. Yeah, I just did one the other day, and I'm like, oh man, like I went through and did all my backups and then did the update. Like, brace yourself, storm might be coming. Oh man.
What would be the #1 piece of advice you would give people starting out streaming?
Typically what I like to say is don't rush it. Growth will come but enjoy it. Enjoy the ride. Don't rush to get affiliate right away. Don't rush to be partnered with games right away. Don't be rush to get your first 100 follows. Be yourself, be interactive, and just enjoy it. One of the biggest things that I've seen with a problem with smaller streamers that are just starting, is they'll sit there, they're streaming their game.
Yeah. Oh, I can't.
They don't say a word. I know.
How many I've seen.
Exactly.
Or you go into their chat and you're like, "Hey man, what's up?" And you're trying to make that connection. They're just
right.
"Hey, how's it going?"
Yeah. So, like one thing that I've learned and watching other people and is continuously talk. I don't care if you're talking to yourself. I don't care if you're talking to a bot. I don't care if you're talking to your stuffed animal on the wall. Exactly.
Larry the llama for all you know.
Just continuously talk. Explain what you're doing. Talk out what you're doing. Just have a conversation. And if people respond, great. If they don't, just keep on talking, because being an interactive streamer is going to go way farther than just being a streamer of the game.
Yeah, don't be what I would call a waiting room streamer, where you're just hanging out hoping that people are going to be interested in what you're doing. That was a tough one for me starting out. Like I said, I was becoming very introverted and very just kind of woe was me, and when I first started, it was hard. I didn't know what to say. What do you talk about when you're not used to talking all the time? What do you share? What are the conversations? How do you even talk? Do you talk like you're giving a presentation? Or do you talk like you're hanging out with your buddies? Like, I had to put a lot of time and thought and effort into that. And when you're starting out and you're not used to it, or you're not good with like presentations, that kind of thing, it's still nerve-wracking. You're looking at a camera and you're worried about what you're gonna do. No, we talked about that. Like,
it would wanted to, though. Part of you wanted to
a point, but I know.
And then you were like, we're gonna burn out so fast. Like, hey, welcome to the YakPom stream. We're having a great day today. Like,
well, yes, and in very much idolizing the overall show and production value of someone like Dr. Disrespect, I did entertain the idea of having a character. But for me, it was like, I deal with PTSD. So if I'm having a bad day, I'm not going to pretend to be some freaking character. I'm going to be, irritated or pissy or grouchy or happy and dealing with it. I'm going to be me no matter what, though. Like I can't stuff all those emotions aside to maintain a character. So it's like, I'd rather just be honest with people. These are the things I deal with, and try to go from there. But yeah, talking when you're not used to talking and when you're feeling self-conscious about it when you're starting is very tough. And that was one of my biggest hurdles. Now it's the point sometimes where, like, every once in a while, my kids or Lady Yak will be like, just shut up for a minute.
Are you kidding me? You'll have your stream like, goodbye, everybody. We'll catch you 30 minutes later, like the SpongeBob scene plays. And so, guys, we're wrapping things up. It's been 30 minutes later. The yak's still yakking. But I mean, that's the kind of community you want.
Right, exactly.
Oh, man. I did have that once, though. So I injured I have a hip injury from long ago, and so my hip pops in and out because the ligaments are stretched out too much. And so I have a chronic pain medicine called Tramadol. It's a synthetic opiate, and I usually don't take it, but on really bad days, I do. So there was this one time I took it like midstream, and then I spent like 20 minutes saying goodbye to everybody. Like repeatedly thanking, like I just kept it in a circle. And eventually my chat was like,
back and we're like, bro.
Imagine he spent 15 minutes saying goodbye and he doesn't know. And I read that and I was like, it's the medication. I really do love you guys, so I'm sorry, goodbye. And I actually ended it. But oh man, it was so funny. But yeah, it's tough to overcome that, but just you got to start talking. Talk like you're explaining something to your cousin or your best friend or your significant other or a coworker. Just shoot the breeze, you know, because
Right.
even if someone doesn't talk back to you in chat and they're lurking, that means they're lurking because they're enjoying what's happening. You're making enough background noise, you know, that they've got something to watch. So yeah, I think that's a great point you bring up, to talk, to be active. Because
be an interactive streamer. Don't just be a
right.
streamer. Everybody's
Yeah.
a streamer. What sets you apart is how you
Exactly.
interact.
Right.
And then eventually you find your own style and flavor, and it's awesome. And this just occurs to me is how on earth did you find the energy after working from like 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. to like game and stream? Like for me, if I guess depending what you did in the machine shop, like I would be so burned out, I would like probably pass it on the couch. Like,
Well, the thing is, like, I mean, I'd have time to game. Streaming wasn't even a thing back then.
fair enough.
You know, because we're talking 20 years ago almost. Dating myself a little bit there, but
Hey, Justin TV might have been around. That's what
yeah.
Twitch used to be
So
called.
the main reason is because I worked those 12-hour shifts. I had only worked 3 days a week or 4 days a week, and I'd have 3 or 4 days off a week.
Nice.
That
And
makes more sense in my mind. I was
yeah.
like, how on earth does any human survive 5 days, 12 hours?
And to
Make
be
bank.
completely honest, I missed that shift with a passion because it was awesome having 3 and 4 days off every week.
Absolutely.
I missed having 10-hour shifts, but yeah.
It's a dream. The dream schedule.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness.
Dang, okay, that explains it. I was just gonna say, I was like, how on earth? Because like I work in label manufacturing, which is like your typical Wisconsin kind of job, and I'm like,
Sure.
some days I just come home and I just lie on the floor for like a few minutes, and I'm like, whoa, what just happened? Like,
And that's with me. Like right now, I'll get home just from working an 8-hour shift, and you know, I got to talk with people on the phone all day, and I got to, you know, talk with coworkers all day, and I get to sit down at this computer, and I just go,
you take that.
Right.
just put my feet up on the desk for a little bit, and just relax and take it for what it's worth.
Yeah.
There you go. So out of curiosity, sometimes people newer to streamer or to streaming, I should say, are very worried about, you know, having the best gear and all that stuff. And we try to tell people just start, you know, just start, just go live, because you got to start somewhere. And we all start from that starting point. But one question I like to ask is, if you had to recommend what area of tech someone should invest in first, what would that be? Would you recommend better camera, better lighting, better microphone, better graphics card? What would be your piece of advice if someone wanted to upgrade something? What would you say is the important
I mean,
stuff?
The more RGB, the better. No, one thing is like, so I'm running like a 1060 graphics card. Like when I built my computer, I mean, a 1060 was pretty decent graphics card. It wasn't top of the line. It wasn't no 2080, but I got the job done. I mean, as long as your PC specs can handle, you know, the internet. I mean, you don't want to be running, you know, streaming on a 56K, you know, internet connection. You know, that'd be horrible. But
Oh my
I
God.
honestly, I think your PC is gonna, you know, be able to tier what kind of quality of content, you know, if you go into a stream and everything's blurry and you know your graphics card is
That's
barely
the
holding
worst.
up, you know, that's, you know, it's gonna deter people right away. So you know your PC is gonna be, or you know, even if you're streaming from a console, I mean, you don't have to worry about that, you know, so much, unless you're running, you know, a card, you know, to pull it through a PC. I can't think of the name off the top of my head for whatever reason.
Like an Elgato capture card
Yeah, a
or
capture
Angry
card, yeah.
Media. I have one of those, so
So like, you know, your equipment that creates the game and sends it through the interwebs to Twitch, you know, is going to be one of the biggest things. You know, later on, once you start growing, you can always invest, you know, buy one piece at a time. You can buy a microphone. You know, when I first started off streaming, I just used my headset mic. In fact, when I moved here temporarily, my microphone actually took a shit in the move, and I had to stream
Oh.
off my headset mic for about a month.
Oh.
So thankfully, I was able to have an awesome community who'd actually donated some money for me to get a new microphone. And I raised about half of it within like a stream. And then I found out that I could get a new mic under warranty. So I didn't have to pay anything. So I took that money and then I invested it into my PC actually. And
That's
just upgraded
awesome.
some cables and whatnot. But then, the microphone lighting is cheap. I mean, the ring lights I use, I think they cost $15.
Oh yeah.
Lighting's cheap. Your camera, now granted, with all the COVID crap going on and everything else, all those prices of webcams and everything went through the freaking roof.
Super inflated.
Yeah.
So like, luckily I had my camera before all that took place. I think I only paid like $70 for my C920 or whatever camera this is from Logitech.
Yep.
Nice.
That's similar.
So cameras, do they help your stream? Yes. Is it going to deter you from growing? Probably not, because I see a lot of streamers. I've seen partnered streamers who've never even shown their face on camera.
Same.
So would you say that it's not always about having the better gear, but with how you conduct yourself and interact with your community
Absolutely.
that maybe helps you grow better? Yeah.
Absolutely. So don't get me wrong.
Love
If you're, if I'm able to watch your stream in 720 or 1080p, sure, that's definitely going to help. But if you don't have a camera on and you're a cool person still to hang out with, I'll still come back. There's a lot of streamers that I'm friends with that, I mean, I've seen their face in Discord, but on stream they don't show their face.
Yeah.
I love
how
that point.
successful they are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why we tell a lot of people, like, if you're interested in trying it, just go for it.
Yeah.
There's I mean, I think of a handful of, especially with Tarkov, there's a handful of streamers that don't have their own cam, that don't run a cam. You got Genticles, you got Kings. That's another Wisconsin streamer. He never uses a cam. Super successful. Of course, he's got the radio voice though, so that he gets a little bit from that. But
Sure.
Honestly, like, just having that personality, and if you don't have a cam, that's where talking during stream definitely will come into play.
Yeah.
Because then you gotta. I wouldn't say you have to work a little bit harder for it, but you got to make sure that you're present vocally.
Yeah.
Just so that they know you're there and active, and they got something to listen to.
Yeah. So like one of my biggest faults as a streamer and having a camera, and I've been told this my entire life, is people always think I'm angry because I have a normal resting bitch face.
Me too.
I ain't gonna deny it. Employers have come up.
Say anything.
Yeah, employers have come up to me and be like, "Are you happy here? Like, do you enjoy your job?" I'm like, "Yeah, why?" It's just like a normal face. I don't have a lot of facial expressions a lot of times. And I even say that when like raids come in from other streamers, I'll be like, "Hi, my name is Vampy. I'm a Warframe content creator. Sometimes I say really weird things, but they make sense to me because I have kind of a stutter or like a speech impediment where I like mumble words together and it becomes a whole new word." Which
cool.
Yeah, exactly. And then I have a resting bitch face. So if I look like I'm angry, I'm really not. And it's just a thing. It's been that way my entire life. And if I shave my beard off, you can actually see that I actually have more facial expression than what actually shows. But I'm not shaving my beard off again on charity again. So
maybe for I was gonna say maybe for a charity stream. I went bald.
yeah, that's the last time I shaved my beard off was for charity, and that's why my head is shaved because of charity, I think. Or I think it was a sub goal or something. I just kept on shaving it.
I've had that before. People come in, they're like, "He looks angry." Like, no, I'm good. Like, I'm happy. I mean, the game might be a little frustrating, but I'm good. Like,
no, you're like the Incredible Hulk from like the Avengers. That's my secret cap. I'm always angry.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's funny though. That fits the Vamppire name. Not having a lot of facial expressions and.
It
I
really
think it's
fits the
also that
niche.
self-awareness
It does.
too.
Oh, for sure. And like even if you listen to like my tone of voice, you can tell that I'm not angry just by listening to me. It's
Yeah.
my face doesn't change a whole lot, I guess. When I
Fair
talk. So
enough.
I take it as more of a blessing sometimes because then people don't know if I'm upset or just normal, even when I'm upset.
Play the cards in your favor, I guess.
Exactly.
At a
Oh
Yeah,
my
disadvantage.
goodness.
Use it to your own advantage. That's what I say.
Or use at your own risk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, we're coming up on our hour. We like to keep it an hour so it's reasonable to edit and upload. Otherwise, it gets to be quite the large file.
But where can everyone find you at what times? I mean, Warframe creator, Outrider, ambassador. I mean,
Uh,
Twitch.
so I usually stream. My regular schedule was Saturday through Tuesday, 6 p.m. to like 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Sometimes I would start earlier. They can find me on Twitch, Vamppire _P_. I've gotten so used to saying that because I have to explain that the underscore is at the end. But anyways, you can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram. I have a TikTok, but people follow me, but I've never posted anything on TikTok.
Oh, you gotta get. I mean,
So
it's a lot of effort, but you gotta get in. There's so
yeah,
much once you get live. It's
yeah. So you can find me there. You can find me in Discords. I bounce around from Discords to Discords. I'm always hanging out with people somewhere. So, but yeah, that's typically where you can find me.
Links will be in the description
Warframe,
below.
and in the video, yes.
So I got one last question for you, and this could make or break potential future friendships here. Left Twix or right Twix?
Left.
Oh no, I'm just kidding.
Bro, right Twix all the way. Literally, it's on the right side. Right is in the name. That's my personal choice. But...
I'm left-handed, so left.
Oh, fun new
So
fact.
I'm always open it with my right hand, and the first one I'll pick will be on the left side.
There you go. A man of simple habit. I love it.
Yeah. So
thank you so much.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. But let me blow your mind real quick because I'm left-handed, right?
Sweet.
Yeah.
But I'm actually ambidextrous in a lot of things. So what if I told you I threw a baseball with my left hand, but I threw a football with my right hand? What would you say?
What?
You're blowing my mind over here.
It's messed up.
That's definitely that's taking ambidextrous to a new level.
You should because I claim behind you. Like,
yeah, right. I know.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, put me right between Reggie White and Brett Favre. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I am actually.
Oh,
I'm totally set up that way.
The prophecy is fulfilled.
Yeah, exactly.
The moon will align tonight. Join us at 12 a.m. Central Standard Time for a special eclipse.
Oh my gosh! Well, welcome to the content creation team, and this has been a lot of fun. Yeah, it's a good way for us to get to know people on the team, and look forward to some
Warframe,
some future gaming sessions. You know what?
Kicking and screaming.
We might have to do that. We might have to get me on some Warframe.
Yeah, we'll get you.
We'll get you, he says. I love it. I feel the target on my back, but it's comfortable.
Yeah.
It's comfortable. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure. And
thank you guys.
To everybody out there, you guys stay safe. Have a good weekend. Remember, do something nice for somebody else, whether it's a compliment or a funny joke. Put a smile on somebody else's face. It's contagious. We'll see you next time.